All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. Tom Gazzola, Satellite Studios in downtown Edmonton as the Oilers fall to the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2, 0-2 on the season. A lot of issues to get to, and we will do that tonight. If you're on your way home from the game, text us 780-218-9999. Of course, do that safely, or if you have somebody in the vehicle with you, have them text in your thoughts on tonight's loss. And then if you're watching on YouTube, hit us up in the nasty chat. Of course, the Oil Stream post-game show brought to you by GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Get those texts. And Shawn Belle will be by shortly as he'll help us break down tonight's Oilers loss, and we'll also hear from Reed Wilkins after he works the locker room in Rogers Place. It was not pretty on this night, although I will say this. I'm not a time for silver linings, really. I know it's just 2 games into the season, but I thought the Oilers, for the most part, in the first 2 periods were the better team, had the play in the offensive zone, and then just too cute trying to pass the puck into the net. And then there was a general malaise to this team again tonight, and in the defensive zone is where they got into a bunch of trouble. And, Calvin Pickard getting his first start of the year wasn't particularly strong either. So just a quick thought on the game from me there before we get to Shawn Belle. And prior to Bellsy hopping on, we're going to get to the scoring summary and game story from tonight's 5-2 Oilers loss in the first period. Philip Kurashev opened things up on a redirection. Nice play by Kurashev to beat the check of Brett Kulak, his first of the year, from Taylor Hall and Wyatt Kaiser at 15-15. I thought the Oilers probably could have had a couple of goals in that first period. Again, couldn't beat Peter Mrazek. In the second period, Corey Perry gets the equalizer for the Oilers as a power play was just expiring at 4:55. He banks it in off of TJ Brody. Jeff Skinner hits first point as an Oiler, and Matthias Ekholm gets the second assist. However, at 10:19, it would be Seth Jones on the power play. This was not a particularly great goal. Connor Bedard, the assist. Teuvo Teravainen, the secondary helper. Bedard already has 3 assists at that point on the season. Jones squibs one through Calvin Pickard. 13:58 is when Connor Bedard would open up a multi-goal lead for the Chicago Blackhawks. Teravainen the assist, Brody the secondary helper. 3-1 Hawks after 2 in the third period. Teravainen on the power play, a bit of a fortuitous bounce. Believe it hit Darnell Nurse. Seth Jones, one of the apples. Connor Bedard, the second one. 3-point night for Bedard. That goal coming at 5:35 to extend the lead to 4-1 Hawks. Leon Draisaitl would pull the Oilers to within 2, his first of the season on the power play from Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Nugent-Hopkins collecting career point number 700, being the 7th Oilers player in franchise history to hit that plateau. That goal coming at 10:01 to give the Oil a bit of life. However, they couldn't beat Peter Mrazek. Mrazek dialed it in that third period, made some really nice saves, had some puck luck, and then you can add to the fact that the Oilers were indeed too cute in the third as well. Teravainen would add his second of the night on the power play, third of the season from Vlasic and Jones. I didn't love that goal either to make it 5-2 and ice this one. Shots on goal, 36-20 in favor of the Oilers. They also win the faceoff battle handily, 60.3% to 39.7%. The power play goes 1 for 3. That's good. Penalty kill, 0 for 3. Awful. 1 for 5 on the season. The penalty kill is an absolute tire fire right now. Can't get it done. Eerily reminiscent, unfortunately, to last year's PK. Hits 15-9 officially in favor of the Hawks. The Blackhawks with 35 blocked shots. I think it was 29 for the Jets the other night. Edmonton with just 12 block shots, so 35-12 in favor of the Hawks when it comes to the block shot total. Giveaways, 11 for Chicago, 9 for Edmonton. Takeaways, 13 for the Oil, 9 for the Blackhawks. The end result, a 5-2 loss at the hands of the Chicago Blackhawks. All right, keep those texts coming in. I see a lot coming in. 780-218-9999 as the Oilers fall to 0-2 on the season. Shawn Belle is ready to go. Hernan's going to bring him in. Hernan Salas holding things down back at ESTHQ. All right, Bellsy, the Oilers fall 5-2. Let's just start with your first impressions. I gave a couple of general thoughts about the team and how they performed tonight, but I want to hear your thoughts on what you saw from the orange and blue as they fall to 0-2.
Well, the reality is they weren't as bad as they were the last game. So that's the good news.
Okay.
I thought they missed some chances. I thought that their defensive, well, we talked about in Game Changers, their defensive deficiencies. I think those came out to rear its ugly head again. And the goaltending, I just don't think it was up to snuff today. The Oilers, I don't think, played a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I thought they were good until they had to really start pushing late. But by that time, it was a little bit too late. And they just, once again, like when they started playing desperate hockey, the Chicago Blackhawks couldn't get out of their own zone.
Right.
But why does it take so long for them to play desperate hockey? Like, it's got to be desperate right from the start, and we probably wouldn't have this issue.
I think
but they just were okay. They were just okay to start, and it just bit them in the rear end again.
5-2 the final tonight as the Oilers not ready to start. I don't know. I think at one point, watching from the press box, I wrote they have a general malaise about them. Is that a fair statement? Like, I don't know if you want to call it a cup hangover, but I was like, there seems to be a general malaise to the Oilers right now.
Yeah, like they were fine. And if you were to give them a grade, like you'd probably say it was a B+. Like they were okay.
Okay.
And the reality, like for me, if they score a couple of those early goals and they have chances, they're probably rolling, but they didn't. And then all of a sudden they allowed the Blackhawks to get that first goal. And now all of a sudden there's a little bit of a dip in their play. They're allowing Blackhawks to, carry the pace of play. They're not jumping to the spots like they would start to do. They weren't hitting on some of the passes. It was sloppy. But then all of a sudden they started playing desperate. And then you just saw what they have the ability to do on the ice. And that's hem teams in and can create turnovers and can create consistent pressure in the offensive zone. And you just, once again, we get back to this whole thing of, why can't we just do that right from the start?
Defensively, we saw a tweak. Darnell Nurse paired up with Travis Dermott. Then we saw Brett Kulak with Ty Emberson. I know that's something we want to focus on. You talked about it on the pregame show. How did the blue line perform as a whole? And I'm going to throw Evan Bouchard into the mix here and even Matthias Ekholm, because it seemed to me, Bellsy, I'm just going to throw it out there, that they were sloppy in their own zone tonight.
Yeah, they were definitely sloppy in their own zone. There was some careless turnovers. Guys were kind of floating back to the puck. They would get it. All of a sudden, they'd be surprised that there was a guy there, and they just would have that panic play to try to throw pucks out of the zone. And then all of a sudden, there was a turnover chance at the net, and then they'd get hemmed in their zone. That there's better out of those defensemen, in particular Bouchard and Ekholm. But, for the other guys, I actually thought their game was okay. I didn't mind Dermott today. I actually didn't mind Emerson. I thought he actually fit nicely into that sixth spot, which is, I think, what a lot of people have been talking about. So there were some good things that the defense for the Oilers did, but as a whole, I just don't think it was good enough to get them the win.
All right, 780-218-9999. If you have any questions for Shawn Belle, shoot those our way. If you are watching on YouTube, get into the nasty chat. Let's dip into some of these statements and texts, because there's a lot coming in on this Saturday night where the Oilers dropped to 0-2 on the season. Let's start with Tube Sock. Says, I remember the days when the Oilers had the best, Connor. Those were good days. Yes, Bedard had a good night. Tube Socks was drinking wild turkey during the pregame show, so I don't know how he's holding up right now, but that is a fair statement. This one from Juan says, have a quick shot, Tommy. It's going to be a long night. Well, let's bring it on. It's early in the season. And there's going to be many peaks and valleys for the Oilers, and I think it's going to be a roller coaster ride that we're all on together. EA says, once again, Oilers need a goalie. Belsey, you hit on Calvin Pickard. Not a particularly good night for Pickard. He allows, what did he have, 5 goals on 20 shots. That's not going to cut it.
No.
On a night like tonight where you're expecting something from him. So
you're expecting a little bit more. I mean, the first goal gets a tip. Like the defenseman got to help out there. There's no business for them to be able to get that tip when you have 2 defensemen standing right in front of him and they're trying to tie up sticks. Like, guys, do a better job of tying up those sticks, get them off the ice so they can't have the tip. Seth Jones's goal probably shouldn't go in at any point. That's just one that's a bit of a backbreaker because, you need that stop to try to keep you in the game so that when you get to that desperation point, you can start rolling. But unfortunately, that puck went in, and that one probably shouldn't. You have the Bedard one, which was a turnover, and the Oilers they coast back. They get Bedard into the middle of the ice. And I mean, a guy that shoots a puck that well and he's standing in the middle of the ice, I mean, 9 times out of 10, that guy's probably scoring. So
that's a BB, that one that he
right, like he ripped that puck. So there were some goals that, from a team side, you're like, come on, we got to get back after a turnover. We got to get back hard so we can, outnumber them or at least make it a 3-on-3 so they can't get a grade A scoring chance. There's other ones where you're like, man, you just got to have that puck.
Victor Arvidsson had the turnover where he couldn't get it deep, and it led to the Bedard goal, 3-on-2 the other way. I know that Draisaitl was trying to hustle back and couldn't get there in time. Bedard made a great move and absolutely lasered that thing to the top shelf. But outside of that, I really thought Arvidsson was Edmonton's best player for most of the night. Okay, Hernan Salas is up there on the screen. I think Hernan Salas wants to join. I can hear you. Oh, yeah. I was worried because on the pregame show we were having board issues.
Don't bring that up, man.
I can hear you loud and clear.
So, no, kudos to you guys for running the pregame show and for Maddie. What would we do without him? But yeah, there's something up with this board. Even before we came on, Tommy couldn't hear me after we talked for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's for the next meeting. But it's all good. Yeah. Okay, Nad. So how are you feeling? Because you weren't too you were salty when I could actually hear you.
Yeah, no, I mean, a better effort for sure. You saw the team, skating better, creating opportunities. But again, it's just not enough. The little details, goaltending, defense a little shaky at times. The PK now is at 20%, guys. They've had 5 PKs and they've only killed 1 off, and that's not good enough. And a team like Chicago shouldn't be taking you to school in that department. So that has to improve. I didn't like the second goal on Pickard. I mean, Connor Bedard's got a lethal shot, but I saw some people on X there saying it almost looked like he wasn't even ready for it. Like what were you expecting there? So I don't know, guys. I mean, it's a little disappointing. I mean, can this be just a Stanley Cup run hangover? We've seen many teams that go to the finals start slow the next year. What is it now? What was the score in the first game, guys? 6. That's 11 goals in 2 games. Man.
Yeah, it was a close one.
11 goals in 2, and then Calgary's doubling up Philadelphia 6-3 right now. That's not going to be an easy game. They're a motivated bunch over there because everybody's saying that Calgary sucks, and they're taking it personal. So for me, we've seen this too many times, and I think Belsey and Tommy, you guys can agree with this. Like, when is lessons, man? Like, enough with the lessons. This team's been through so much.
There are no more lessons to be learned. So they've lost in every round of the playoffs, including a round that doesn't exist anymore because it only happened 1 year.
But that's why
there are no more lessons.
I'm still blown away that this stuff happens. Like tonight, I was like, hey, Chicago played last night, guys. Went to overtime. They played a hell of a game in Winnipeg. They blew it in the last minute. Then they couldn't get it done. And they come in here and they whooped the Oilers 5-2, man. 2 power play goals, 3 even strength. Like, I don't know, man. You saw some good things for sure. I liked Arvidsson's game today. I thought, Perry with a greasy goal, sure, but it's just not good enough, guys. And I don't know, man. Maybe it is the hangover. Maybe these guys are just going from playing such high hockey to this at the start of the season, which is obviously a lot lower. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm making a ton of excuses, but I think I'm done with these excuses. This team needs to turn this stuff around, man.
The problem is, though, Hernan, is we've seen this for the entire Connor McDavid era with the Oilers. They're always in the spot where they need something to happen where they're like, whoa, we got to get going. And that's just an in the dressing room problem. Is it the fact that they're saying, hey, we have so much offense that we feel that we can always work our way out of it? I don't know. But like you look at some of the goals, like we'll use the Bedard one, for example.
Sure. Hey,
Leon Draisaitl back checks. He does 100%. And he actually goes back hard.
Yeah.
But the minute the turnover happened, everybody wasn't ripping back as fast as they could. They waited and watched, hoping something would happen so that they could get the puck back in the offensive zone. Instead of just all of a sudden reacting and saying, we got to get back and we got to play defense, they waited, they watched, and then they said, okay, we got to get going. And by that point, it was too late. If Draisaitl doesn't hesitate and he just skates back, he probably gets to Bedard before he has the ability to shoot that puck. Because if you watch the video, he's standing right there as he's releasing the puck. So imagine if he actually took one more stride 1 second earlier.
Yeah.
So like that's the reality. That is the Oilers right there. When they have to do it, they're going to do it. But there's not the ability to go right away.
Yeah, but it's just like you said, like they always need something terrible to be happening for them to like, oh, wait. Like that's why, Belzy, you've been in rooms. I don't know if you've ever been around a team like this that's kind of always needs something terribly bad to happen for them. Like, is there anything being said in that room right now? Like, it's because they've done it so many times. Is it just like, we'll get out of this? Or is Connor saying, guys, like, what are we doing? Like, same thing as last year? Like, come on.
I don't think it's there yet. I would say there's probably some guys saying a few things, being like, guys, we need to be better. But I don't think it's to the point where, guys are yelling and screaming and throwing helmets or anything like that. Huh. But I do think there is definitely guys, we got to get going. Enough of this stuff. Because that's what it's at.
Yeah.
And we talked about it in the pregame, is that you're going to see every team's best game. You're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. This is the days of, when I played when it was a decade of darkness and people are like, don't worry about them. That's fine. Those days are done. You have team that every single analyst across hockey has said the Edmonton Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup. Well, guess what? Everybody reads that stuff and then they look at it and they say, here's a circled calendar, Edmonton Oilers. We're going to show you guys. They show up. They're ready to go. They're going to give you their best game, and the Oilers have to respond in kind. They need to elevate their level. They can't say, okay, well, we're just going to match these guys. We have a better level. We have a higher level. Let's get to that level. They don't do it, though.
No, they certainly did not. They have 2 goals on the season and have allowed 11. So their penalty kill is an absolute mess, and the power play finally kind of woke up tonight. Let's get to a couple of texts. 780-218-9999 is the number to share your thoughts, and, of course, via the nasty chat as well over on YouTube. Mike in Thunder Bay says, embarrassing. And that's all he says. McLovin says, are they worse than last year? This is seriously bad. The Blackhawks blew them up. Jack says, Tommy, why can't you see Bedard is already a superstar? I think he's great. Like, relax. I think he's going to be a superstar. It's just give him some time. Jack.
And you know who was good for Chicago? The old wily vet, Foligno.
Foligno was a buzzsaw.
He had a PK shift, boys, where he was just outworking the Oilers in their own end, not giving him up, giving the puck up. I also like Teravainen with Bedard. I think that's a nice little sneaky duo, right? And I know Joaquin's probably listening, but he's not high on Bedard, so.
Ooh,
he thinks he's going to be really, really good, but he hesitates to put him up in that upper echelon elite level.
Yeah. I think he'll get there. Let's go to this one from Eddie from Stettler. I like this. First-time caller, long-time listener. Disappointing first 2 games, but it's 2 games nonetheless. Overwhelming cup favorites, and combined with brutal start last year, it's easy to overreact. Game against arch rival Flames couldn't come at a better time, and we'll right the ship. We'll hang up and listen now. I'm going to defer to the former Oiler and NHL player Shawn Belle. What would you say to Eddie from Stettler?
I love the positivity, to be very honest with you. I love it. But to me, it's very simple. And I said this earlier today. I've said it a couple times. The Edmonton Oilers lost in Stanley Cup Finals. There's a bitter taste in your mouth. Or at least most people, if I lose and I'm so close to the ultimate goal and I lose it, I'm coming out with piss and vinegar the next year. I'm not waiting. I'm not watching. I'm not waiting for somebody else to do it. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to make things happen. And right now, the Oilers aren't making things happen. And I know it's been 2 games, and I know it sounds like we're overreacting, but you need to see a certain fire. There has to be one. There needs to be a point in your game where people aren't questioning which Oiler team you're going to get. The one that's dominant or the one that's like, well, here we are today. Because, man, when the Oilers are dominant, it's fun to watch. And I think we all can agree that if they're the team that's dominant all the time, there is a high likelihood they might go back to the dance. But we got to get somewhere soon.
Well,
just play.
Somebody light a fire under their asses, because it is not happening so far through 2 games.
But Tommy, like
what?
And Belsey I love Belsey's fire though, because we're kind of on the same wavelength, kind of panicking already. But
Belsey's more spicy than you are tonight.
It's been a rough evening for Hernan, so I'm a little more mellow. What was I going to say? And that's the thing. Like, this team shouldn't need someone to spark them right now.
No.
And especially tomorrow against Calgary, man. Like, if they come out tomorrow and lay another egg, guys, like, this is going to get ugly. And depending on how Stuart Skinner performs, depending on how this defense performs, the PK performs, and the big dogs, man. Like, yeah, they got one late there, but they haven't done much of this game. Like Nuge, Hyman, Skinner, Arvidsson. Even though Skinner and Arvidsson I thought were better today, they showed a little bit more. And I'll just say this: the Arvidsson goal was interference. You can't push the defenseman into the goalie.
Yeah.
So for all the Oiler fans booing at the and I know they don't get this, like, they're not seeing the replay like we are.
They can show it once and then it's at their discretion to if it's one they think that they'll get the call, they will show it. If it's one they think that it'll go against them, they hold off. That's kind of the clue if you're at the game.
Yeah. So I'm not going to be too harsh on them, but that was for sure goaltender interference.
100%. All right, keep those texts coming in. Tom Gazzola, Shawn Belle, Hernan Salas with you. Edmonton 0-2 on the season. Get beat 5-2 by the Blackhawks. Bellsy, we got to talk about this PK. 0 for 3, 1 for 5 on the season. 0 for 3 tonight, I should clarify. I know you talk about Royal Road and the percentage of a shot going in if it crosses the middle of the ice. Is it as simple as they're giving up Royal Road? Is it as simple as their goalies can't make a save? I think of the Seth Jones power play marker. What are you not seeing from the Oilers on this PK?
Yeah, that Seth Jones power play marker, like, we need to get a block there. That's about as simple as I can put that one. It's the guy standing in basically the high slot. You're there, try to get a block, but also at the same time, Pickard needs it. He needs to make that save, and it's as simple as that. But you look at the last goal that Teravainen scored, right? Like, it goes up to the point, it goes D to D in a hurry, and then all of a sudden you've got a seam pass. Vlasic steps up, he makes a quick seam pass to Teravainen, who rips that puck. And the only thing that I can think of is in terms of the routes, when you have the first forward that's going to be pushing over the top, you had Derek Ryan, who is sagged a little bit too low. He's got to be higher so that he can take away that passing lane. You can see, like, he's got his stick in that lane, but he's too low. He's got to get higher, because his job is that it's a bit of a shared responsibility. If there's a bumper in the middle of the ice, you've got to take away the bumper, but you've also got to take away the seam pass. And on that one, he's too low because there actually wasn't a bumper, and he didn't take away the seam pass. Mm-hmm. So it was literally a bang-bang play, and that's a hard stop for Pickard to make, because he's on one post, he's got to fight through traffic, quick puck movement, one-timer, it's in the net. So you have two different examples of, what the situation and giving up goals. And the one is you need a block and a save, and the other one you just need to be in a better spot.
That PK is leaking goals, and it is ugly. All right, let's get to some of these nasty chats really quickly. We've got a couple more minutes with Belsey, and then he's got a scoot. BC Trav via the nasty chat says, these losses are so painful at the end of the year when you're 6 points out of home ice advantage. Will they ever learn? Play 60 expletive minutes. Let's go. Duck Dad says, how many games till fans can actually be critical of Jackson and his offseason? You could be critical right now, to be honest with you. And I think a lot of people are starting to be critical of him, and understandably so, considering how things played out with those offer sheets. Dave via the inbox says, so is game 2 too early to earn a nomination for Rant of the Year? I don't know if Belsey and Hernan have one in store for us tonight. Dirty Curdy getting in there says, oh no, they suck again. This team taking 10-plus games to get sharp isn't going to work. 11 goals against in 2 games, and a faulty PK is a recipe for disaster. Why are they trying to pass it into the net again this year? Yes, I'm with you, Dirty Curdy. Bob, win or bust. FFs. Another pathetic start is infuriating for this fan base. And then Oily Sink says, I'm sure the nasty chat and the inbox is going to be completely cool-headed tonight. Only game 2. They did better than game 1. So that's an improvement, right?
That is an improvement, 100%.
Yeah, Oily Sink, you got something there. All right, Belsey, they have to try to clean this up tomorrow against the team that, as Hernan pointed out, won tonight in the Calgary Flames, defeating the Philadelphia Flyers. That one, what was the final in that one? I'm looking here. I think it was 6-3. 6-3. Yeah, that is the final. The Flames 2-0 on the season. All right. How do the Oilers shake this off and get things back on the right track against their provincial rivals tomorrow?
Well, they definitely got to get their intensity up. That's number 1. Number 2, I think teams have started to take a bit of a page out of the Vancouver Canucks book when they played in the playoffs. Clog up the middle, be physical, and make them play on the perimeter. What happens is that the Oilers want to play on the perimeter. They want cute passes. They want to try to go, east-west. They want to have quick one-timers to dry settle in basically the corner. But the reality is you got to get to the net.
Yes.
And I thought that, tonight the goaltender saw so many pucks. There were so many things that were, great shots, but guys weren't pushing to get to the net. If teams are going to clog the middle of the ice, well, you got to do a better job of getting to the net, taking away the ice. That sounds so cliche, but the reality is that if the goalie can't see, how is he supposed to make the stop? And they just weren't doing a good enough job of getting to the net. So you come to Calgary tomorrow. Well, the first thing I want to do is, I need to be way more intense. It is the Battle of Alberta, and you can't lose to a team that everybody thinks is going to be a doormat. So that's one of them. 2, get to the net. Anything you possibly can do to try to get to the net. You got greasy goals. I mean, Perry's goal was very greasy. He was in front of the net. And then Arvidsson, yes, it was goaltender interference, but he did a good job. You need more of that stuff. Guys getting to the net, crashing, banging. It doesn't always have to be sexy. You can have a couple greasy goals, because at the end of the day, they don't ask how, they ask how many.
I'll throw this last one at you. If you're Chris Noblock, outside of putting Stu Skinner in net for that game tomorrow, are you tweaking anything with that lineup? You only have Troy Stetcher available as an extra player.
Yeah, you can't really do anything unless you want to get Stetcher in the lineup. But for the most part, it's as simple as, here's the lineup that we have. Guys, we need to get going, because nobody is going to come in to save us. It is you. It's what's in the locker room right now that's going to help you get going. So whatever you need to do to shake off whatever's going on, Stanley Cup hangover, lack of players, new bodies, whatever that looks like, you guys got to get going.
Belsey, yes, absolutely. 100% agree with you. Great stuff as always. Hernan has changed your name to Reed Wilkins. That means it's time for you to leave. Good stuff, pal. Great work today. I'll see you later. There you go. Shawn Belle, our game analyst, breaking down the Oilers' 5-2 loss at the hands of the Chicago Blackhawks. All right, share those thoughts. A lot of text coming in, and rightly so, a lot of frustration, and I want to read them. Hold off on the expletives. I'll obviously not use them in
Just use them. No, I'm just kidding.
no, not using them.
We're
Absolutely
PG here.
not. We're PG. We're PG-13 sometimes. We throw an S-bomb in every now and then, but let's keep it somewhat civil. Let's go to this one from Mike in Calgary. Says L-O, not another L. Good luck tonight, boys. Mike in Calgary, all good. Hernan and I have covered many Oilers losses and some of the ugliest ones.
Am I bad luck, Tom?
No.
When I was at 1260
Stop it.
before I left with the Oilers, we're always struggling. Then I go to the Elks, they struggle, and now I come back here and these boys are struggling. I'm starting to sense there's a little bit of
Don't say that
juju
stuff
with
on her.
Hernan the man here.
You don't work for the
bringing it.
Oilers. It's all good. Phyllis via the nasty chat says, it's after midnight. Expletives are fine. Yes, Phyllis, I know. I'm just trying to be a little bit civil here.
Tom,
Jimmy O.
Sorry,
I'll
Go
read
ahead.
this one really quick from Jimmy O. Says, the only thing impressive about the Oilers so far this season is the 50-50 jackpot amount. Well played, Jimmy O. Yes, go ahead, Hernan.
What did you think of? I know I tweeted about it. I thought Kulak, Emerson struggled. I know Beldy said he didn't mind them, but they were dashed too. They took the first penalty because Kulak was late, I think. Or was it Kulak? I can't remember.
On the first
but
penalty,
they were
let
on
me
the
look at the
ice.
penalty
And
summary.
that's the thing. Like in the pregame show, unfortunately, I couldn't really hear you guys, so I don't know what was discussed about the question of the day. Was it too quick to move Emerson off the nurse line? Even though I thought Travis Dermott was one of their better defensemen today, and no disrespect to Travis Dermott, but that's a problem if he's one of your better defensemen.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was really
Dermott
good.
was solid, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was good. Nurse was fine. I thought the top pairing was okay as well. So I'm not too worried about that. But what do you do now? Like, this is back-to-back bad games by Emerson. Thought, like I said, I thought him and Kulak struggled a bit. I thought out of the three pairs, they were probably the worst ones. And you have Troy Stetcher waiting there. And for me, there's a reason why they won't play him. Maybe he's not high on the coach's list or something like that. But for me, him coming in or not doesn't really move the needle for me. And no one does, even behind that, Josh Brown or whoever other defenseman you want to name. So
Don't even go there yet.
No, I know. So what do you do now? Because, Dermott played one good game with Nurse. The third pairing struggled mightily in my eyes. Do you just keep rolling and hoping it works? Or do you bring Troy Stetcher, who, whatever, it is what it is. He's got his limits to his game. Do you go with the same pairings tomorrow, Tom?
I'll say this, like Emerson, I kind of liked him a little bit more tonight than I did on Wednesday in the season opener, but his puck touches have been rough. Like, he's fanning on pucks. It's just his puck touches haven't been there. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing or what, but like positionally, I think he was better tonight. He was okay. I think, he was a little bit more physical tonight. But when he gets the puck, he's kind of whiffing on it and not putting it into the right spot. So maybe that's where Stetcher would be calmer because he's been around the league for the last 7-8 years, 9 now. If they put Stetcher in there, that'd be fine. I would probably take out Emerson. And again, it just reiterates, I'll go to the rankings of importance on the Oil Stream with Dusty and I, where I've said Emerson was at 21 for me because it's going to take time for him to figure it out. And, we're only 2 games in. It's a small sample size, but that's what happens when a guy now has 32 NHL games under his belt. Advanced metrics be damned at this point because he just needs to get comfortable to play his game.
And, it's pretty quiet on the Emerson front now. All those people that in the offseason were like, he's going to turn this team around, his analytics. And I always said pump.
Whoever made those statements are ridiculous.
Because it was 30 games. And for us to be sitting here and being like, well, like there was too much. It was unfair to him for sure to put that kind of pressure on. I mean, you're seeing it now. I thought he was a little bit better tonight, but Tom, it just seems like he's fumbling the puck. I think the whole team was fumbling the puck today.
A lot of that, yeah.
And then saying that, I'm going to bring in our good friend, the one and only Reed Wilkins. Reed, you there?
Hey, hello, Wilkie.
Hey, guys, how are you? Well, I'm really close to the camera there. All right.
You look great. We'll turn up your mic. We'll get you all set. Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. I am going to get to something as we get Wilkie all set up. It is the turning point of the game. and we'll get Hernan to drop the player of the game later. The turning point of the game presented by Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy. At Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy, we treat you like the pros. Our multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians, along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. Whether you're recovering from an injury or looking to enhance performance, we treat you like a pro using the same locker room approach, trusted by the best in the game. And I'll float this out to Reed and Hernan for the turning point of the game. I think it was that Connor Bedard goal. The Oilers were looking to get back even. They had some good momentum. They were getting some good shifts from the Arvidsson, Draisaitl, Skinner line. Arvidsson, who was one of the Oilers' best players tonight, if not their best player, doesn't get the puck deep, backhand, blind to try to get the cycle going in the corner. Hawks break it out 3-on-2 the other way, and then Bedard buries it. I thought that was really where the Hawks start to feel good in this game, and felt like they could kind of not put it into cruise, but that they had a chance at running away with it and smelt blood in the water. So that is your turning point of the game, presented by Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy. It was the 3-1 goal by Connor Bedard. Reed Wilkins, welcome in. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think that's fair, because then when the Oilers were down 2, you got that sense of, is this going to happen again, that they're going to lose 2 in a row, because then Chicago had control, and then, about half the game left, and now you get to outscore a team by 3 to win. So I think that was, probably the I can turn my mic up here a little bit too, guys.
There we go.
Hopefully that's helping a bit. Is that good volume coming through?
No, I'll take more, baby. Juice it up, Riedrich.
Okay, there I am.
Oh, hey, there he is.
Wow,
even better.
It's a lot different than how I used to do it before. Yeah, look, guys, Corey Perry spoke and Nude spoke and Noblock spoke. I actually thought Perry's postgame might have been the most interesting, because he touched on basically that they're not playing with pace and crispness and not playing a fast game, and that things are just off in terms of how they're getting the puck up the ice. And I thought that was a pretty astute comment. I thought watching these first 2 games, there are a lot of missed passes. There are a lot of pucks where you're not sure who it was going to, or a pass into a skate, or a pass into the leg of a player on the opposing team. I'm just going to remember this one play, but it's a lot of players. It's a lot of circumstances. Nurse had the puck behind his own net in the first period and with no pressure from Chicago, and had a pass up the right-hand boards and missed the winger he was passing to. Yeah. And then in that stretch in the second period, when the Hawks went from, a tie game to 2-1 to 3-1, I thought that was plaguing the Oilers. They would get the puck to their blue line, but then wouldn't make a good pass to get out of the zone. Either they'd miss the pass and turn it over to Chicago, or it would just float out to center after being missed, and the Hawks could come right back in with it. So there is something missing here. We'll see how it's going to go. I know there's a lot of, is this last year over and over again? I share those concerns. I think it's too soon to say definitively. I mean, if these were 2 games on January 15th and 17th, you're probably saying, well, it's a lull, and some nights the puck doesn't go. And let's face it, I think I do want to recognize they could have scored 4 or 5 tonight.
Absolutely.
They're still giving up too many. I'll take Arvidsson's disallowed goal all day long because of where he was. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he's going to tip that puck without knocking the defenseman into the other team's goaltender, right? Or he's going to draw a penalty or something like that. I love that play from Arvidsson. I mean, look where he was. His buttocks are right in the crease, and he's got a foot in the crease, and he's claiming that position right in front of the net.
Yes.
And so I love that. Like, that's a Hyman type play. So I love that now there's another forward who will do that. And, even some of their mid-range, Mrazek played well, good positioning, because I think there were a couple wrist shots. I think Bouchard had one in the third period. I don't think Mrazek saw it, but he was out to challenge it. It ticked off his blocker.
That was a nice save.
Yeah, but yeah, it's disappointing that they're just not transporting the puck up the ice, or passing it up, I guess, well enough to really create some speed and put the defending team on their heels. And then, again, and then the PK is 1 for 6, which is hard to believe. I guess the last one is kind of a garbage time goal, but it still counts. Even if you give the PK 1 for 5, that's still not very good, even if you throw out the goal in the last minute. And, I think both goaltenders have been below average. I don't think either game was purely a goaltending loss, but you need a save. And, certainly I heard Shawn talking about the power play goal in the second period. I mean, yes, it's a power play goal, but it's a longer wrister that really wasn't that far off Pickard's blocker. So a lot of little things here adding up to 0-2.
Reed, would you switch anything up for tomorrow in terms of forward lines or deep pairings?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Because I don't know who's played well enough in the bottom 6 to push onto one of the top 2 lines. I mean, quite frankly, guys, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, and Hyman have been underwhelming 5-on-5.
They have had a few chances, though.
They have had a few chances, but I feel like the sustained pressure hasn't been there. The operation as a 5-man unit, often when they're out there with Ekholm and Bouchard, hasn't been as good. I mean, I will say, and I always kind of hate to single out players because the team game is important, but I do like how Arvidsson has played.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, guys, I don't know what I would change up front. If I were forced to do something, I don't know if anybody else has said this. People in the Nasty chat might laugh at me. I might replace Jeff Skinner with Connor Brown.
I thought Connor Brown was feisty and tenacious tonight.
And I think he was good in the first game. Probably the only one that was good.
So, and like, to me, Skinner is dangerous and he will score, but he needs time to make a play. Like, he made that one drag move, that individual play in the third period and got his shot away. Mm-hmm. But he's not going to occupy the front of the net. So who's, like Arvidsson did, so who's pushing up from the bottom to be on the second line? I like, and that's where maybe you're missing some of the guys that left.
Well, Connor Brown or Adam Henrique. And then if you put Henrique up there, you've got an issue with centers. And
Janmark was the guy who went up in the practice on Monday, right? Where they changed things around. I would have put Stetcher in tonight personally. Dermott, I mean, he did make the pass to Arvidsson on the disallowed goal. Is that enough to keep him into the lineup?
I thought he was steady tonight.
He was probably better than last game. I mean, quite frankly, they did play better than they did against Winnipeg, but the end result is still a loss, so it's pretty disappointing. But they only have one guy they can put in, and that's Stetcher. So, okay, you can shuffle the lines. I mean, I don't think you're moving. I mean, unless they move Perry up. Unless they say, Perry, you scored. You're the veteran guy. You're supposed to know how to deal with this crap when it goes bad because you've played on 18 teams in the last 6 years. So...
not far off.
Maybe that's the other move up front because there was a shift in the second, or was it last game? Perry got out there with McDavid and Drysdale, but it might have been the last game. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know. Like I'd hesitate to take Emerson out just because I think they need him to play and get going. So to me tonight would have been the night to put Stetcher in.
Let me bounce this one off of both of you. 780-218-9999 if you want to text us. To those watching on YouTube, Nasty Chat is your destination to discuss tonight's Oilers 5-2 loss. This comes in from Doesn't Sign Texts Guy. Says, how have you not mentioned lack of physicality, missing Vincent, Fogle, and Carrick majorly? Need role players. Nanso, Reed, what would you guys say? I'll pass it off to Nanso first on the lack of physicality from Doesn't Sign Texts Guy.
I would say, Yeah, of course you always want a little bit more physicality. I mean, I don't think Fogel's, when you look up physical, Warren Fogle would show up. So I don't know where that came from. Carrick didn't play a lot when he came over. Let's be honest, guys. He played early, fought a few guys, and then he was kind of out of the lineup for the most part. I get it with Vinny. I do, and I don't see a lot of physicality with the Oilers defense. Like Travis Dermott's not that guy. Emerson's not that guy. You're looking at Ekholm and Nurse to do that kind of stuff, and Kulak's not that guy either. And yeah, and we said it when Evander Kane landed, with all the injuries and got the surgeries, like you're gonna miss that because Perry can do it, but Perry's not on the ice as much as Evander Kane would be. So the Oilers don't have that kind of player right now outside of Corey Perry. So I think
Perry's not even physical. He's just a rat.
He's just a rat, exactly. Yeah. A little bit slower now, doesn't get around the ice as well. So, and I know some people might not like Kane and all that, but he's the one guy on this team that can bring that and kind of ruffle feathers on the other team and get under their skin. So, I agree that the team lacks a bit of physicality, but I don't think it's in their DNA right now. Like you saw McDavid throw a big hit today, kind of late, and then he took a penalty, which was kind of bogus to me. Unless the replay didn't let it go a little bit further where he did something else because he just fell on the guys. So I really don't know what the penalty.
There were some bad calls tonight, both sides.
Yeah, so I get the physicality part, but I don't think this team's built to be a physical team.
I would say to doesn't sign his text that I completely reject that comment about Carrick because he didn't play enough. I mean, I just checked. He played 10 playoff games. I didn't think he played that many.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say he was a big factor for the Oilers. Yeah, Vinny, could play with some spirit for sure, but I think more for him was just that kelp thing that Woodcroft used to talk about was how gangly he was and how much space he took up on the ice. Now again, Vinny was scratched for 6 of the 7 games in the Stanley Cup final, was he not? So when it got to that key part of the playoffs and the last, I think 3 games against Dallas. So do remember that. I mean, I think they missed Broberg more than Vinny. What Broberg was looking like as the playoffs went on. Fogle, I think that's a fair comment about Fogle. I mean, Fogle was a bit of an inconsistent player, but to me, the physicality with Fogle wasn't necessarily so much body checking or banging it around, though he did get in there. But yeah, he had that ability to just occupy space down low and around the net. And I get it. When the Oilers lose, I mean, we've all heard this on post-game shows for years. People want more hitting, more fighting. But when I think of physicality in hockey now, I don't think about body checking as much as I think about the Hyman type of physicality or the Draisaitl type of physicality. Like, yes, they hit, but they get down low and they muck and they put their body over top of the puck and start a cycle and start an offensive chance. So, I mean, yes, I'm not rejecting body checking or hitting as part of that, but those big hits running there. I mean, I watched the Tutu documentary last night, and when he's charging at guys and making the glass shake, that doesn't happen at all. So I do agree with sort of the general premise of what that person wrote in. But I would qualify that Fogle is not necessarily missed as a body checker, but as a puck possessor and a big body, within 15 feet of the net.
Yeah, he would play in the opposition's equipment, as Todd McClellan would say. But I will just make sure that we have it for the record. Reed Wilkins is a fan of Victor Arvidsson and having his buttocks on top of the crease.
Yes, I am.
He put it. That's
you got to put your buttocks in the crease, kids. Then you'll score goals.
But sometimes they get waved off like they did tonight. All right, Rick, we've got a bunch of texts coming in. I'll read this one, and then I'll get your thoughts going into tomorrow night. Appreciate you hopping on after working the room tonight down at Rogers Place. This comes in from Shaggy in St. Albert. Shaggy in St. Albert doesn't really mince words. So he says tonight, Oilers losing against Flames tomorrow. Flames are an inferior team, but have heart and work ethic, which the Oilers do not. The team takes that from their supposed leaders, in brackets, McDavid and Draisaitl. Oilers, like student who doesn't go to class all year and then try to cram on the last night before final exam. They are frauds. I told you, Shaggy in St. Albert. likes to get the knives out there, and he did it tonight in Game 2 as the Oilers fall 5-2 to the Blackhawks. Reed, Rick, if you want a rebuttal, go for it. I just wanted to know your thoughts going into.
Well, no, I mean, I get it. People are. I mean, I think clearly, the Oilers have heart, but they haven't displayed as much as we got accustomed to seeing for a lot of last year, and certainly for many games in the postseason. Well, it will be. Yeah, it'll be interesting tomorrow. I mean, each game is a news story. I do think that if the Oilers, and again, even without playing an overly crisp game, they still had quite a few offensive chances tonight. Mm-hmm. And usually, if they keep getting the puck to the net, a few start going in. So I do think the offense will break out at some point, maybe tomorrow. But they got to keep it out of their own net as well. I mean, 11 in 2 games is way too much.
All right, get your buttocks to bed because you put in a full shift today.
Okay.
Great work, Reed, Rick. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, Reed, to you and the family.
Happy Thanksgiving.
There you go. Reed Wilkins from the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne, right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, Monday to Friday, 3 to 6. Love that guy. He's fantastic. And he was fired up. He was actually really fired up in the press box after the Arvidsson goal. I said, Reed, hang on, it's probably going to get reviewed, and he's like, but that's what you need to do, and he was waving his hand and pointing at the TV, and I was like, oh, Wookie's fired up. I like it. So great stuff from Reed, and if you haven't yet listened to his show here on EST, 3 to 6, Monday to Friday with Jay Milne. All right, Hernan, what do you got?
Tom, can I read this one from Scuba Steve? Tommy G
Absolutely.
Suit. Tommy G suit, very classy. He looks like a young Daryl McIntyre tonight.
I love Daryl McIntyre. D-Mac was awesome.
What? There's so much messages coming in that there's a few people sending in lines, and a lot of people frustrated just with and I'm intrigued. We got Corey Perry's audio if we want it. I'm intrigued by it. We have Luigi also and Coach. We probably won't play all 3, but
well,
I like
Reed
Perry.
Said that Perry was good.
Yeah, he's honest. He's a vet.
Yeah.
He knows what it takes, right? He's won it. And I'm just still blown away that this team still can't figure out this early season struggles, Tom. And you, Belzy, and I were all kind of in the same boat. Enough with the lessons. Yep. Just buck up and get ready to go, because tomorrow, Tom, if they play another stink, well, I shouldn't say today was a stink. I thought they played for certain parts good. I don't think Mrazek was called upon to make fantastic saves. I think he was just
he made a couple.
Yeah, he was good, solid.
Yeah.
But again, the PK terrible, the goaltending's allowing 1 or 2 bad goals, the deep pairings, and I'm glad Reed brought it up. There's a few plays there where Nurse, and not just Nurse, but where they have time and they're icing it, or they're missing wide open guys. And Paul Coffey did a wonderful job when he came in last year when he said make plays or we'll find people that will. And I think he has to say that again, because there's not enough good passers on this team on the back end.
Well, Bouchard's having a tough go.
He is.
Bouchard's he's coughing up the puck a lot, and I was thinking to myself in the first period, I'm like, Bouchard, it takes a lot for that wheel to get going. It needs to get cranked up, and he seems to be a perpetually slow starter. But once he does get going, look out! It's basically downhill in terms of speed and momentum, and you can't stop him. That's how much of a force he can become. But it's just getting to that point that it takes forever. It seems like, Hernan. So I'll throw him into the mix too.
And I'll throw another one, Echo.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been okay, but I don't think anyone really has stood out. The guy I noticed the most today for in a positive way was Travis Dermott. I thought he was jumping in to play well. He defended pretty well. He's moving the puck. He's I think he's a little underrated when it comes to moving the puck, because I think he's a lot better than at least what I anticipated him to be. So, and we talked about lineup changes. There's only one Stetcher to come in or out. There's no forward here, so that's not going to happen. Will you juggle the lines? The one thing I'll tell you, Tom, I don't want to see tomorrow. I don't want to see 97 and 29 together. I know it's wonderful and they produce, but I just think when they put those guys together, the other 3 lines all suffer from it because they don't bring anything. I think you just keep going. Arvidsson was better tonight. So
that line was good tonight.
Yes.
Skinner was the one out of the 3 that I thought could have used a little bit of a spark, but Arvidsson's certainly going. Draisaitl had his looks like he always does. I thought that line was actually okay.
Yeah, Hontorio Momes, our good buddy, says, I'm so sick of watching every team score greasy goals on the Oilers by shooting and taking random shots, and the Oilers pass the puck around like a bin of oranges. In like soccer, as a goalie flails around. And yeah, the Oilers got to get grease here. And that's why Reed was a big fan of the buttocks in the crease, because
the buttocks.
It's just greasy, right? So I don't know, Tom. This is a disappointing start. I'm going to put it on a Stanley Cup run hangover. I don't think they're as bad as this 0-2 start, but you can't be outscored 11-2 with one of the rebuilding teams coming into your building and just laying it on you. And then tomorrow you got a team in Calgary, Tom, that for me is playing with an edge, because everybody's like, they suck. They should rebuild.
Well, that roster is not particularly great. So, and
they've come out and they came down from 4-1 on the other night to beat Vancouver in overtime. They beat a pretty good Philadelphia team 6-3 tonight. So, I mean, this is not going to be easy. This was the game tonight on the bingo card where you're like, it's a 2 points.
Yeah.
And I said it yesterday on our show. I said, let's pump the brakes. It's not a guaranteed win night. I knew a few of the guys here at our station. We love them all, but they were like, yeah, they're going to win. It's 2 points. And I'm like, well, let's pump the brakes. Have you not watched this team?
They pissed them away. All right, let's go inside the Oilers locker room. Nancy, you said we do have Corey Perry. Reed, when he was on here, said Perry was pretty matter of fact about tonight's performance and the start to the season that the Oilers have had, which is an 0-2 mark where, like Hernan just mentioned, they've given up 11 goals and scored just 2. Here he is, Corey Perry from the Oilers.
You've seen through a couple of games here. I know this isn't anywhere near the start you guys are looking for.
No, it's not. We can be a lot better. We can be a little crisper. It just looks like we're slow with the puck right now, and we're not moving up the ice quick enough. And it's not an R&D or anything. It's everybody involved, and we gotta figure that out.
Is that just maybe a rut you get in that is more pronounced because it's the start of the season and you just get to play your way out of it, or what can you do to get that puck up there quicker?
Well, you can make all the excuses in the world, whatever you want to say, but it just everybody's got to look themselves in the mirror and start to bear down and play, make those plays hard, and it's frustrating.
5-on-5, you guys have 1 goal this year. You get credited with it. Is it about bearing down? It was some chances.
We had chances, yeah. We had chances. It's bearing down, harder on our stick, whatever you want to say, all the cliche words, but they're not going in the net, so you can put that out the window, and it's all about hard work, and that's what it's what it's all about.
How do you think such a good team has such a hard time finding its identity at the start of the year? How does that happen?
I don't know. It's a new season. There's new guys left. It's not the same team, and we have to figure out how we want to play and the style we want to play. And right now it's 6-0 the first game. And then you give up another 5 in this game. It's not the recipe.
I think you touched on it earlier. I apologize if I misheard. But how do you go about actually playing faster? Is it, the speed is the thing. And
it's not. You can have all the speed in the world, but if you don't move the puck, you're going to be slow. It's about moving the puck quick, moving the puck hard, and tape to tape, and that's what makes your team look fast. And we're not doing that right now.
All right, there's Corey Perry following his team's 5-2 loss at the hands of the Chicago Blackhawks. Perry picking up a goal. He scored the first goal of the year for the Oilers. +1, 950 time on ice. He had 3 shots as well as a block shot and 1 hit in his less than 10 minutes of action tonight. And not crisp and not moving the puck quickly. Hernan playing slow with the puck. Not good enough.
I love the urgency. I love that he's pissed off. It's interesting. Connor McDavid hasn't spoke after either of the first 2 games, But good on Corey Perry, calling it how it is. We're not playing fast. We're not playing hard. And what he said there at the end, we need to start making tape-to-tape passes. And Reed brought up the issue that the Oilers defense can't hit their players. So good on Corey Perry. I love to hear that. I'm pretty sure our fans are also sitting there saying, finally, someone with a little bit of angst and a little bit angry about what's going on in Game 2, Tom. Because, we always hear the cliche stuff like, we'll turn it around, blah, 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 like we saw after Game 1, which is fine, Tom, because it's one game, right? But I love what I heard from Corey Perry, and I thank Reed for bringing that up because we probably would have played Nuge instead of Corey Perry.
He was really good. He was really good and thoughtful. And thank you, Reedrick, once again. Let's go to Paul in Calgary. Texting in says, guys, the fourth line, which Perry was on, obviously, was the best line. They should have been rewarded with more ice time. Too much Connor and Leon together. That's never a good sign. Fourth line for the Oilers. Perry at 950, like I mentioned. Podkolzin had 2 hits. Nothing else in 919, and then Derek Ryan. Derek Ryan had a great chance that was set up. I can't remember who set him up. Podkolzin with that feed, and he was basically in all alone and couldn't tuck it past Peter Mrazek. Derek Ryan finished with 8:59 time on ice with that shot that I mentioned, and then let's see what he had for his faceoffs tonight. He was 50% on the dot. Okay. I'm kind of curious to hear from Chris Noblock, if we could do that, and then I'll get to some more texts, and we also have to get to the player of the game as well. Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999, and then the nasty chat, slowing down a little bit, but it's been pretty steady all night as the Oilers fall 5-2 to the Blackhawks. One wants to point out that Colorado is 0-2 as well. Yes, good point, Juan. All right, let's go to Kris Knoblauch and hear what the coach has to say following his team's loss to Chicago.
Progress in terms of maybe how your team played, no progress on the scoreboard. How do you gauge that one?
Disappointing. I think everything needs to get a little bit better. 5-on-5, power play, penalty kill. Just not keeping our game a little more simple. I think is important. And usually when you keep it simpler, you dig in, you win more battles, you make less mistakes, you ultimately make the game harder on the opposition. And right now I think we're thinking about how we need to play, but just not make it hard enough on the other team.
What are you seeing on the penalty kill? Last year you only gave up 4 power play goals in the entire playoffs. This time you've been up 5. Is it you need to save from the goalie, or is the other team just...
Mostly just not having the right pressure points. I think we've been in a position and they've made some nice plays. And a 4-man unit out there. Everyone's got to be in sync, knowing when to pressure. They got to know when somebody's going to push down, the other guy's got to strike, because if one guy's pushing and another guy's not striking, it's not putting them in a position of just getting us out of position. So, I think that's a little bit just everyone getting on the same page, because not been mistakes, so to say. Like, the other team's made some nice plays, but we've just kind of allowed them to make those plays because everyone not working together.
Everybody, you lost 2 penalty killers forward, you lost 2 in defense. Breaking in new people, does that have any?
Yeah, absolutely. That does have a little bit. We've been scored on when our 4 guys that were here last year have been on the ice together, and we've been scored on when the new guys.
All right, Hernan, there was head coach Kris Knoblauch following his team's loss. Anything stand out to you about what he said tonight?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it cut out there. That must have been on their end, because on our end, the whole audio was fine. So,
no worries. We were going to duck out of there anyway, but there you go.
I was just giggling behind the scenes because he's so calm. Like, it's like, how can you be so calm, man? I want to see some anger.
That's just how he is.
No, I know. And I'm not going to be too harsh on him. But yeah, he's saying what coaches say. Yeah, we need to be better in every area. And the PK, got to work like a 4-man unit. Like, it's just the cliche stuff, especially this early on. And from such a calm coach, which is, I like it, because you don't want a coach that's kind of losing his mind after 2 games. But I was just seeing his demeanor and everything just made me giggle, because, man, how can you be so calm? Like, that guy's heart rate's probably at a steady, what's a normal heart rate here, Tom?
120/80, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's go with that. So, and I'm seeing some people on the chat saying he ain't it. Like, come on, guys. Like, let's just... He came in, yes, he's never started a season as an NHL coach. He's getting a quick lesson in here on this team and how they like to make things difficult on themselves. But
do they ever?
Let's not get crazy and start saying Coach K is not the one, because
he took him to Game 7 of the Cup Final, for crying out loud.
It's way too early for that.
All right, let's read a couple of texts, and then we're going to get to the player of the game. Calvin C. says Knobloch is screaming on the inside. And then Phyllis said he's like Coach O'Shea of the Bombers, so laid back. Yeah. And then I want to get to this one from C. Hendo. Says lost 5-2 to Chicago. Turnovers. D is suspect. PK's bad. Top 6 giving nothing. 5-on-5. Subpar goaltending. Latino Heat. That's no bueno, says C. Hendo. Correcto.
It's not. I agree with you.
Yeah. Atif says, evening, guys. Just got home from the game. Want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Where the refs think of the Kansas City Chiefs were playing the Oilers. Chicago got a lot of calls tonight. You know what, Atif? I thought a lot of calls against Chicago I thought the refs had some weak calls on the penalties tonight, both ways. Atif adds Chicago. And Mrazek got a good night from him. He played awesome. How do the Oilers get off to a good start tomorrow night versus Calgary? What has to change? Atif, you go in there before the game and let a fire under their ass with a big pump-up speech, or just send in one of those voice-to-text that you send into the morning show, and maybe we get Jonty and Victoria to turn it into some kind of like hit beat with some sick music and sound effects, and maybe that gets them fired up, something along those lines. Okay, Nanso, ready for the player of the game?
Always.
All right, let me read the liner, and we get to the Damon Bunting RE/MAX player of the game with Hernan Salas. Damon Bunting, consistent, top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton, and among Western Canadian RE/MAX realtors. He and his team would love to help find you that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com. Or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Hernan, who is the Damon Bunting RE/MAX Elite Player of the Game?
Yeah, there's not a lot to choose from again, Tommy. I had 2 guys in mind, but I am going to go with Victor Arvidsson. Even though he didn't get a point, he
was very good.
I thought he was mucking it up. He scored a goal, but it was disallowed, and which was the right call. I'll just throw that in there as well. But I like this game. I think he's getting more comfortable with Draisaitl. He's a little spark plug. So the other guy I was thinking about was Corey Perry, but he only played 9 minutes. Scored a goal. I mean, it was a fluky goal, but greasy, whatever. They all count the same. So I think Victor Arvidsson, for me, was one of the better forwards. I know Draisaitl got a goal and McDavid got an assist, but I didn't think they were overly good on the night. So, and there's no one in the decor I would pick, and I was not picking Calvin Pickard because I thought 2 goals were no bueno. So let's go with Victor Arvidsson as the player of the game.
That is your Damon Bunting RE/MAX Elite Player of the Game. Hernan, excellent stuff. Victor Arvidsson and his buttocks, as Reed Wilkins put it so eloquently earlier on the show. All right, a couple of texts to wrap things up. Babbage Stash. Ooh, good to hear from Babbage Stash. Hello.
It's been a while.
Babbage Stash says, tomorrow is an early season must-win now. Got to beat the Flames. Can't go 0-3, and especially to the Flames. Skinner will be on his game, and McDavid needs to step up before this spirals and gets antsy. I think they get her done. Goyle from Babbage Stash. Eden, hello, Eden, says, I don't get the physicality talk. Eden adds, how about just execution, top to bottom, offense, defense, special teams, and goaltending all stank. I thought the effort was better than it was against the Jets, but the execution was still awful. Thank you, Eden, for that text. Matt Hyman says some Jets fans were not happy after beating the Oilers 6-0. Fans are funny that way. And now Matt Hyman is going to say goodnight, and he's going to go watch Goon with Georges Larac. Let's go to Taxman. Taxman says, Reed makes a good point about not putting the other team on their heels, but there's only 2 defensemen on the team that can make a pass. You can have all the forwards in the world, but if they can't get the puck cleanly, you are stuck. Taxman, a very good point, and makes it super, super frustrating if you can't get the puck from your defenseman. Twitter Mary says, why didn't they win the game tonight? We just wanted them to win the games they're supposed to win. It's not that much or too much to ask, Twitter Mary, but they couldn't get it done. And then Scalding Gord says, #Buttocks. Anything in the nasty chat that you want to touch on before we say goodnight?
It's been busy, Tom. The nasty chat. Our guy Dusty was pretty active in there fighting with people about Kenny Hollins.
What are we talking about Ken Holland for?
They're blaming him, I guess, for Broberg. And listen, I know Broberg has 3 points already, and he's on pace for 82 points. Yes, we all know that was a tough loss for the Oilers, but we need to get over it. Hire Bruce Boudreau as the next coach, says Snaggletooth.
Then who's going to do the morning show once every couple of weeks?
With an extreme close-up.
Yes.
Tom, you know what? It's been amazing. A little rough on the pregame show. I apologize for that once again. A big shout out to Maddie for coming in to help, but we truly don't know what happened. But better on the postgame show. This is fun. I mean, it's not fun that the Oilers are losing, but it's fun to be back with you and everybody and all the great listeners. And tomorrow's another one, Tom, and it's going to be interesting. If they lose that one, oh boy, I think Edmonton's going to be a little spicy heading into Tuesday, and hopefully they can pull it out, but it's going to be tough. Calgary's playing well right now to start the season.
Calgary, another win tonight, beating the Philadelphia Flyers 6-3, 2-0 are the Flames, 0-2 are the Oilers. That is going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. For Hernan Salas and Shawn Belle and Reed Wilkins, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. You know we appreciate you. We're going to do it all over again tomorrow as the Oilers seek out that first win against the Calgary Flames. We're on the air at 5 o'clock for the pregame show. Ciao for now.